Well, we are here today to celebrate what came out of Forest Street. And that celebration is worthy of giving God some praise. I have a resolution for the family from the state of Georgia in what we call an out-of-season resolution because we're not in session right now. But what I'd like to go further and do is invite the family to come to Atlanta, to the Capitol in Georgia, to the Capitol for an invite resolution so that we can honor Ms. Norman in a way that the state should honor her for the work that she did to represent. Because not only did she represent Augusta, but she represented Georgia in the highest way. And we look, if you would accept at that appropriate time, well, we would love to have you all come to Atlanta to honor her legacy and edge her history into Georgia's history, where the siblings or the younger generation can Google or Bing or whatever they need to do and see what their aunt or the person that they look up to has why we talk about Jessye Norman the way we do, the way she has represented us across this world. Thank you for this opportunity. I'll get this to the family. All right, thank you.
To measure the life, work, accomplishments, and meaning of Jessye Norman is as if one would take a thimble and try to empty an ocean. It would be as if one sought to measure the expanse of the heavens with the span of the human hand. Something vast and noble has passed from among us. It is like a mighty oak has fallen, leaving an empty and gaping and a glaring space against the sky where she stood. If I may paraphrase the book of Samuel, know ye not that there is a princess and a great woman fallen this day in Israel? It is my honor to be in my home state of Georgia, in the beloved hometown of the great Jessye Norman, to lend my voice to this homegoing for one of history's greatest voices. Jessye Norman was a dear friend, and I'll never forget the week that President Obama was inaugurated the first time. To celebrate one historic figure, we had as our house guest that week another historic figure, Jessye Norman. She came to stay at our home in Washington for the inaugural festivities. One of those mornings, our housekeeper put on Jessye's music to greet her when she came downstairs. And when Jessye did come down for breakfast and heard it, Jessye said, "Would you please turn that music off? The last thing I want is to hear myself sing. What I want to do is concentrate on the grits and the hot biscuits." Jessye was perhaps the only person in the world who didn't want to hear Jessye sing. As for the rest of us, we couldn't hear enough of her. Not just the voice, the way she sang, the way she talked, but who she was, the stories she told. It was on that trip she told me a story about growing up in Augusta. She said when she was at Lucy Laney High School, her music teacher and the principal had the idea that Jessye should go to Philadelphia to participate in the Marian Anderson vocal competition. The principal and the teacher spoke with students about giving up their lunch money for a week so they could raise enough money to get Jessye on the train to Philadelphia, and they did it. Now, when Jessye got there, she did not win a prize in that Marian Anderson contest. But they left Philadelphia afterwards, and her teacher took her to Howard University, where she sang for the head of the voice department. Jessye sang one song, and at the end, the professor told her she had an invitation to study at Howard University on a full scholarship, and the rest is history. It's a remarkable story, but it is only one side of that story. Years later, I was playing here at golf at the Augusta National Golf Club. They finally let us in. And I wasn't a member, I was a guest. But I was talking with my caddy at Augusta National, a black man named Joe. And I said, "Joe, do you know Jessye Norman?" He said, Joe did, "Do I know Jessye Norman? We were classmates at Lucy Laney, and I gave up my lunch money for a week I gave up my lunch money for a week for her to go to that contest in Philadelphia." You could see it in his face, hear it in his voice. He was so proud of what she had accomplished. And he said, "I have an investment." You could tell what she meant to him, what she meant to this community of Augusta, what she meant to all of us who watched her star rise. At the same time, this community and all the people Jessye came in contact with over the years meant so much to her. It is not surprising to me that she had a particular affinity for young people and students, since it was her classmates in Augusta at Lucy Laney who helped launch her career. It's why no matter how famous she became, she supported young people in Augusta who would come after her. And I saw this firsthand. That same inaugural weekend, while Jessye was our guest, I took her back to Howard University for the service at Rankin Chapel. Before the sermon, there was a young woman from Alabama in the choir who sang a solo. Jessye was sitting next to me, and she began to cry. And I said, "Are you okay?" Jessye said, "Yes." Looking at, she said, and listening to that young woman takes me back to my time in the Howard University choir. She told me how the director in her first year asked her to sing the solo to the song "Done Made My Vow to the Lord, and I'll Never Turn Back. Oh, I will go, I shall go, to see what the end will be." While we gather today to mark the end of Jessye's life, I do not think we will see the end of Jessye's legacy, because she knew better than anyone that she was part of something larger than herself, an arc of progress that could not be turned back, a song of progress we keep singing to see what the end will be. And yes, Jessye knew her connection to the past, to all of the great teachers and singers who came before her and paved the way. In fact, many years ago, she gave an interview in which she talked about that connection. She said, and I'm quoting her, "I tell myself that I'm not just me, that I'm the result of things that happened long before I was born. I like to feel I have a connection with my grandmother and my great-grandmother. I see these photographs of these beautiful women, and I wonder, how did they have such nice clothes? Where did they get these things, and how did they have such a sense of self? Out on a farm working hard day and night. I'd like to think I'm a part of this somehow, to feel that what my forebears have gone through can somehow help to form me as well." We are lucky to have heard the performances of Jessye Norman, to have known her, to have had her form us, our lives and our culture, with her friendship and artistry and grace. And because we are connected to her, because of what she means to us, because she paved the way, we can bring her voice and spirit into the future so that the next Jessye Norman might be inspired by her example. Of course, Jessye would be the first to tell you that there should not be a next Jessye Norman, just as she resisted those who tried to label her the next Marian Anderson. She knew that the true mark of progress for her and those who would follow was to be able to take their own path, define themselves for themselves, and be recognized for their unique voice and unique contributions. After all, that is what Jessye did. And now her angelic voice takes its place in a heavenly choir. And now perhaps she is accompanied by Gabriel's trumpet or King David's harp. But when I hear it in my mind, it is Jessye Norman alone, sending forth her transcendent song for all time. Farewell, Jessye Norman. We thank you for everything, and we'll see you in the morning. Good night, sweet princess, and flights of angels sing thee to thy rest.
Musical and oral expressions that have been shared today that have enabled us to gain a glimpse into the brilliance of this wonderful, precious stone, this beautiful diamond. And we have been able to see through your expressions the sparkle, the radiance, the brilliance that she has allowed to shine with such great color, clarity, and cut. And so we're grateful for that. And as we move into this next movement of acknowledgments and citations, Gary Dennis is coming, Executive Director of the Jessye Norman School of the Arts, followed by Ann Beth Sturkey, niece-in-law. We will then have a silent reading of the obituary, a song for Jessye, evangelist. And then the Reverend Dr. James A. Forbes, Jr., President of the Healing of the Nations Foundation, will come. And once he has come, we will go down by the riverside with Wycliffe Gordon. Let us come in that order.
We'll read a small portion of just a few of the many official resolutions and tribute letters in Miss Norman's honor. Please visit the school website tomorrow for the full text at jessyenormanschool.org. From the City of Rochester, the Office of the Mayor, proclamation. Whereas Jessye Norman departed this life on September 30th, 2019 at the age of 74, leaving her loving family members, close friends and colleagues, as well as fans and admirers around the globe, to cherish her memory and her countless contributions to music, arts, and culture. We thank her for the legacy she leaves us and the gifts she has given us all. May she rest in eternal peace. Now, therefore, I, Lovely A. Warren, Mayor of the City of Rochester, New York, do hereby proclaim Saturday, October 12, 2019, to be a day of honor and celebration for the extraordinary life of Jessye Norman in Rochester, and urge all of its citizens to reflect upon the lasting accomplishments and remarkable contributions this distinguished individual has made not only to music, but to all mankind. From Howard University, dear family and friends of Dr. Jessye Norman, Stacy J. Mobley, Esquire, Chairman of Howard University's Board of Trustees, and I respectfully advise you of the adoption of the following resolution by the Howard University Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees of Howard University wishes to include in its official record an expression of sincere condolence to the family and friends of Dr. Jessye Norman, an extraordinarily gifted soprano, renowned opera singer, compassionate philanthropist, majestic diva, and Howard University alum.
To the beloved family of the late Dr. Jessye Norman, renowned international soprano, it is with our sincere love, care, and concern that the Mount Calvary Baptist Church Scholarship Ministry submit these humble words expressing our heartfelt sympathy. May you find comfort in knowing that we care and share in your loss. Therefore, it is resolved this day, first, that the Norman family, the Mount Calvary Baptist Church family, this community, and the world have all suffered a great loss. May you be comforted and encouraged by God's word in John 14:1, which states, "Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And whither I go you know, and the way you know." On behalf of the Reverend Dr. Clyde Hill Sr., Pastor. Macedonia Church of Grovetown Incorporated, for Jessye Norman. We are in place in this world for a limited time, and with the breath of the infant begins the race to the grave, a race everyone must run. Whereas in the providence of God, he has brought to close the life of Jessye Norman, the officers and members of Macedonia Church of Grovetown Incorporated in Grovetown, Georgia, feel that it is befitting to express their sympathy to the family during the passing of Jessye Norman. We commend you to him who knows best and will always do right. You have our sincere prayers. To the family, we know your loss is deep and your sorrow is great, but we want you to know that we share in your sorrow, but more importantly, we recognize that it is heaven's gain. Humbly submitted on this 12th day of October 2019, the officers and members of Macedonia Church of Grovetown Incorporated, Grovetown, Georgia, Bishop Isaias Merritt, Senior Pastor. From Emily Remington, age 103. Wow. Now residing in Charleston, South Carolina, retired professor of Payne College, Augusta College, Lutheran Church of the Resurrection, founder and conductor Emerita Augusta Chorale Society. She writes, "On a lovely day in the fall of 1960, there was a knock on my home front door. and a proud mother said, "Mrs. Remington, I want you to hear my daughter sing." I asked how old she was. The answer, 15. Expecting a sweet young voice, the first sound was that glorious full quality which has now been shared all over the world. It was with regret that I was not a vocal teacher. I knew that voice needed a real teacher, not a coach. I was, however, in the position of being able to invite her to sing on many concerts while she was in high school. I was thrilled when she went to Howard University for training. During those years of the late 60s and early 70s, the civil rights era, I invited Jessye to sing with the Augusta Chorale Society at the first Appleby Garden concert on a summer evening. She dazzled the audience and began making her mark in the world. She called me on my 100th birthday and sang to me on the phone. Thrilling. My lifelong friendship with her, being her accompanist in recital, visiting with her at the Kennedy Center Awards, and in Europe has truly been a blessing in my life. And she continues to bless Augusta with the Jessye Norman School of the Arts. True friend to all. What a life she led, and how proud we all are of our Jessye.
From the Glenn Gould Foundation, Toronto, Canada, October 8th, 2019. Thoughts on Jessye Norman from the Glenn Gould Foundation. Perhaps Jessye's greatest pleasure was knowing that she was sharing the celebrations with students and teachers from her school, the Jessye Norman School of the Arts, who were able to bring to Canada as our special guests. I remember after the gala concert and awards ceremony at Toronto's Four Seasons Centre, those students waited at the elevator where Jessye was to emerge on her way to the post-concert reception. They swarmed her with total enthusiasm, blissfully reveling in the chance to meet their hero for the first time. Jessye simply beamed. Her kindness, her interest in each and every student, and pride in their achievements was palpable. The next day, she hosted them for a private dinner at their hotel, and one can imagine how that gift of her love and encouragement will stay with them as a guiding light throughout their lives. On behalf of the Glenn Gould Foundation, allow me to express our grief at Jessye's loss, but also our pride at having had the honor of honoring her. Her time in Toronto was one of her last public appearances, a little bit of cultural history perhaps. This is also a moment to celebrate and take inspiration from an art perfectly wrought, a life beautifully and fully lived, and a torch passed majestically to future generations. Let us honor her time with us and extend the gift of her life into the future by giving the spark to others in a spirit of joy, unity, and love. From the New York Public Library, a tribute to Jessye Norman from Tony Marks, President of the New York Public Library, October 9th, 2019. Last year, the library was thrilled to honor Jessye as one of its 2018 Library Lions, the institution's highest honor which pays tribute to the icons that shape our culture in immeasurable ways, who inspire others to learn, grow, and explore. Of course, Jessye did just that. A champion of imagination and creativity, she once said, "Kids should be encouraged from the inside out, and that's best done through the arts." Thanks to Jessye's tremendous support, the library's efforts will continue to have a lasting impact on young students, among them burgeoning artists and performers, and perhaps the next young Jessye Norman for generations to come.
From the National Association of Negro Musicians, Incorporated. Dear family and friends, on behalf of the executive officers, board, and members of the National Association of Negro Musicians, I applaud the music ministry of Dr. Jessye Norman, America's stellar operatic soprano. Her concert career inspired many of us. We can hardly retain our grief at her transitioning. However, we rejoice in the gift she gave us. She was a trailblazer, a role model, easy to speak with and to, and a beautiful woman in voice and spirit. We will never forget her spirit, nor let her music die. Fortunately, we have a variety of videos and tapes that we will hear repeatedly and pass on. Thanks for being you, Dr. Jessye Norman. Musically yours, Anne Marie Hudley Simmons, President, Dorothy J. Kennedy, Executive Secretary. To the family of Jessye Norman, on behalf of the entire sisterhood of Sigma Alpha Iota International Music Fraternity, I offer our deepest condolences on the loss of our initiated sister, Jessye Norman. Her performances for SAI national conventions became the shining star that other singers would reach for, and her support for all genres of music led to the ultimate recognition as a recipient of the 2009 National Medal of Arts at the Kennedy Center. Sigma Alpha Iota members will always remember her generous spirit and her love for the sisterhood. For us, she will always be singing the SAI Symphony of Love and Beauty, of sincerity and peace, of joy, hope, and inspiration. With profound respect, Dr. Leslie Odom Miller, National President, Sigma Alpha Iota International Music Fraternity.